The following program contains violence, disturbing imagery, nudity, and, oh my God, why are you even watching this? Just run away. This shit is going to give you nightmares.
Recorded live at the Jerrad Show studios in Tampa, Florida. It's another episode of the Jerrad Show. And now, here's your host, Jerrad Suarez.
That's right. Back again for another episode of the Jerrad Show. Today on the show. That's right, I came down to the studio during the day. It's Tuesday, January 2nd, 2018. The second day of the new year. And we've already got drama. All kinds of craziness going out there into the universe. But before we get into the issue of the day, I have some good news. Fans of 90s television, rejoice! We've got some big news in TV. Today, ABC announced that Roseanne will be making a return to the television airwaves. And I think that's a pretty cool idea. I really enjoyed the program back in the day. And it looks like every single cast member from the old show is going to show back up, including both Beckys, which is kind of fucking weird. It's pretty cool. I saw already they're going to continue with the original storyline. So David and Darlene, they got married in the previous show, and now they're going to come back and they have 2 children. I haven't seen a picture of the son yet. He's supposed to be an 8-year-old son, but the daughter is incredible how they the casting for this new show is fantastic. Like I look at this little girl and I think Darlene, with a little bit of David, just a little bit. Apparently, this was the baby that was conceived in Disney World. I don't know how big of a fan of Roseanne you guys are. I'm a pretty big fan. It was a big part of my childhood. It was rebroadcast in syndication on the I don't even know what the affiliate channel would be down here back in the day. I think it might have even been an independent before it went to UPN, but it was channel 44 down here, WTOG. And they would play Roseanne every evening for maybe at least 2 hours. They would play Roseanne, they would play Seinfeld, they would play Mad About You. And I grew up watching, those shows. And to see everybody back on the same set, well, obviously it's a different set, but it's recreated. To see everybody back just felt good. I mean, it was kind of weird seeing both Beckys there. Like, what? How are they going to do that? It would be really funny if they started out the episode with one Becky, switched halfway through to the other Becky, and then switched back. Because I'm pretty sure that's what happened. The original Becky left the show, and Sarah Chalk, who obviously she's from Scrubs fame. She was the woman in Scrubs, the blonde woman in Scrubs, and now she's on the Roseanne reboot. And so I think it would be funny if they were to start off with the original Becky, go to Sarah Chalk's Becky in the middle of the show, and then come back with the original Becky. Because I'm pretty sure that's what happened with the show. The original Becky wound up coming back. If not for just like a cameo episode, I think she might have even portrayed Becky again. I don't even know. I guess I can pull this up. Ooh, not the correct program. Whoops. Let's close that out. All right, let's check this out. Let's go to Roseanne. You know what? I'm gonna fuck with okay. I'm gonna fuck with my Google. I'm not even gonna type it. I'm just gonna say, okay, Google, who played Becky Connor on Roseanne?
Becky Connor was played by Lacey Goranson and Sarah Chalk.
Okay, Google, did Lacey Goranson play Becky again?
My apologies. I don't understand.
Of course you don't. Let me see this. Okay, Lacey Goranson. Let's see if I could try to... Yeah, I got it right. Look at that. Let's see. Let's look at her... Maybe... Why did Lacey Goranson leave Roseanne for a while? Okay, she left for good in... Okay, so she left Roseanne in the 5th season to attend college. At that time, she was replaced by Sarah Chalk. And then in the 8th season, she returned, and they alternated the role. Okay, so that's why I remember sometimes it being Lacey Goranson, sometimes it being Sarah Chalk. Frankly, let's cut all the bullshit. I'm excited. I'm excited for this show. March 27th, 8 p.m. I'm excited. I'm happy to see Roseanne come back. I think it's such a cool idea to come back to characters years down the line. That's why I loved Clerks 2. It was so cool to see those characters, 10 years later, and see how they've grown or not grown. I'm very interested to see how this show works out because, as we all know, in the finale of Roseanne, the original run of Roseanne, as we all know, Dan Connor died. Not like, got killed on screen, but, Roseanne killed him off and was like, oh, this whole last season was just my dream of what my family could have been, when in fact, Dan died. And things have been really hard, blah, blah, blah. Because she's some writer or something like that, I guess, in the show. So I'm very interested to see how it comes back. And I always love Roseanne because they always poked fun of the production of the show. Like with the things with Sarah Chalk and Lacey Goranson. They, they kind of poked fun at the fact that Lacey left and that Sarah took over, and it was funny, and I liked the show that it didn't take itself too serious, and it was just a fun show, and I'm glad that it's going to come back. Now to move along onto this second part of this podcast, this is going to be really rough for me. The big story today is Logan Paul. Now, Logan Paul is a former Viner. He was big on Vine, and originally he was on the Disney Channel for some fucking shit. I don't really know. I didn't know anything about him until mid last year until I found out. I think it was at what's the YouTube convention? VidCon. I think that's what it is, out in Anaheim, LA. It's in Anaheim. But he made a big stink about, showing up. They kept asking him, look, dude, you have millions of followers. We need you to take the precautions to come through the back of the venue and not cause a riot, basically. Because, if you go out into the public area, people are going to just swarm you. And, that causes security issues. So they asked him, can we please, bring you in through the back of the venue? And he agreed. I'm pretty sure that's what I saw is he did say, yes, I'll do that, no problem. And then wound up saying, fuck you, and running right into the fucking crowd and causing mayhem. Bedlam. Complete insanity in the VidCon crowd. There were thousands of girls, hundreds and thousands of girls screaming their fucking heads off, holding up their phone, hoping to get their VidCon vlog with Jake Paul. And, no, there was Logan Paul who did that. See, that's the problem with these Paul brothers, okay? Jake and Logan Paul, they do almost the same exact shit. They look very similar. They're brothers. Logan has a little bit longer of a hair, and you can tell that he's the older of the two. But that doesn't mean that he's the smarter of the two. Yesterday, he released a video about the suicide forest in Japan. Apparently, Logan has been in Japan for the past couple of weeks, making a complete ass of himself. Just annoying people in the streets and in public. It makes Americans and tourists and anybody who's not from Japan, a foreigner basically, look bad. It's not a good look to have, some giant white-skinned, blonde-haired kid standing in the middle of the street. You know, at one point he was holding up fish and octopus tentacles like an idiot. At one point he put on a kimono with his friends and went out and acted like a dummy and did like fake karate and shit. Like, it was terrible. It was almost borderline racist, if you think about it. But then he took it a step further. He went to the Japanese suicide forest. Sorry, I'm trying not to pop into this microphone, but it's inevitable. So Logan Paul goes into the suicide forest with a gang of morons that, you know, follow him wherever he goes, his buddies. And wouldn't you know it, they stumble upon a corpse. You know, that's crazy. 100 people a year die, you know, commit suicide in the Japanese suicide forest. And what are the odds of you running across a body, you know? I mean, pretty fucking high, dude. Pretty high chances that you're going to run into a body. And of course, being the jackass that Logan Paul is, he filmed the fucking corpse. He filmed it in more of like a joking manner, not like he just stumbled across it and was like, "Oh my god," and put the camera down. No, he was knowingly turning the camera away from him, as vloggers do. They point the camera towards themselves. He was knowingly pointing it back and forth between the dead body and him. And it was... I've seen clips of it. I didn't look at it. I didn't want to look at it. I didn't even want to see the clips that I saw of the hanging corpse. Because that's rough, man. That's really dark and disturbing. It's something that most people, if they were to come across, they would be traumatized for the rest of their lives, having to see, you know, someone who has taken their own life and have to deal with those thoughts of, oh my god, I found, you know, this dead body, this person who was obviously in so much pain that they took their own life. It's just a really, really dark subject. And there's a lot of videos out there on the suicide forest. And they show sometimes, you know, people's belongings that are left there. Because once they, you know, kill themselves, they just, you know, leave their bags or their tents or whatever. It was just so disturbing to see how nonchalant and joking Logan Paul was about this whole situation. Extremely disturbing that you would film somebody like that and then put that up on the internet in general. Just if you did that in general in your regular blog. But this guy took it a step further and put him in the thumbnail, put himself in the thumbnail to the video alongside the hanging corpse of this poor victim of suicide. It's especially disturbing to me. I didn't know if I wanted to talk about this on the podcast. But you know, a lot of us at some times in our life have thought about suicide or, you know, contemplated it or thought about, you know, what would my family think if I were to do something like that. And maybe a smaller number has actually attempted suicide. But I'm sad to say that I wasn't in a good place in my life about 2 years ago. Now, I don't really recall very much about the timeline of it because I was drinking very heavily. But it was around the time... Actually, I can actually find out exactly when it was because it ties into the suicide of Robin Williams. Robin Williams killed himself in 2014. So this story that I'm about to tell you happened back in 2014. When Robin Williams killed himself, I was distraught. I grew up knowing Robin Williams as the voice of the genie and as Mrs. Doubtfire, and he was just a light of positivity in my life. He was somebody who I could watch, and he would always make me laugh. I even watched his terrible HBO special in the early 2000s, and that was, fun. I enjoyed that because he was just crazy. He was a maniac on stage. He was so quick-witted, fast-talking, and of course, I loved the man from his films. Jumanji was fantastic. But especially Mrs. Doubtfire. That was... I watched that movie so many times, and that's, a live-action role with Robin Williams. Not the animated character of Genie, which, being a Disney fan and being raised on Disney and going to Disney World my entire life, Genie was a huge character in my life. Aladdin was a giant film. So when Robin Williams killed himself, man, that really fucked me up. To see somebody that you held in such a high positive light, and the guy who could bring a smile to my face even if I was sad, even if I was crying and in a bad mood, I could watch Robin Williams and I would smile. I would laugh. And to realize that somebody that you think is so positive and so happy and bright, to see that person, or to hear that person was so depressed that they killed themselves, really kind of made me lose it a little bit. Again, this is back when I was drinking very heavily. I was drinking probably a handle of alcohol, a handle of vodka every 2 days. So I was drinking a half a handle of vodka a day. So I probably wasn't all there. I wasn't in the correct mind state to handle something like that. And seeing that and understanding that he was, so depressed, kind of like pulled the rug out from underneath my feet and made me think, what fucking chance do I have? I mean, what chance do I have if this guy, the most positive person that I've ever known in my life, took his life? What fucking chance do I have? And I started drinking, and I started going down a spiral. And at one point, this is all in one evening, okay? At one point in the evening, I decide this is not good. even in my drunken state, I say, this is not good. I need to talk to somebody. And I called up the suicide prevention hotline, which in Tampa is 211. You just dial 211 and you'll get some help. And it's not just for suicide. It's for people that are, going through tough times and they need to talk to somebody. And it's there. So I got the idea to call them up, tell them how I was feeling, and I talked about suicide and losing my parents and just all the terrible shit that had brought me to the point that I was at, and talked about how how somebody like Robin Williams could fucking do that, man. Like how could somebody that's, so... I mean, if you Google Robin Williams, you're just going to see pictures of him smiling, and he looks so happy. And how do you deal with something like that when the happiest person that you know kills themselves over depression? And I had a long discussion with the operator on 211. And when I got off the phone with her, I didn't I didn't go eat some food and lay down like I probably should have. I just continued to drink. And then I got into an argument with my girlfriend about suicide. And things got worse. And I was just like, I'm not doing this. I was drunk as fuck. And I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm going to kill myself. I can't fucking do this. And I called 211 back. And I told them that I was going to commit suicide. And if they didn't send somebody out to stop me, that's what was going to happen. And it turned into one of the worst 2 days of my entire life. The police officer showed up, picked me up, put me in handcuffs, and put me in his car, and took me to, I don't even know the name of it, but all I can guess that it is some sort of mental facility for people who have these problems. And when I arrived, I was so intoxicated and so broken that I invented a different persona to deal with what I was faced with. And this persona was basically my personification of the Joker from The Dark Knight Returns. If I was going to be in a mental facility, I was going to be fucking mental. And boy, did I take it far there that night. There were people that were fucking scared of me. I was screaming. I was laughing. I was crying. Like a maniac. Like a psychotic fucking person. And they wound up shooting me up with some sort of sedative into my ass. They took my pants from me and gave me a hospital gown because my pants were basketball shorts and they had a cord in them. So they took those from me, shot me in the ass with a sedative, and sent me back to the floor. And the floor being the entire level or area that everybody was waiting and watching TV and trying to calm down and relax. And I was not making it easy for anyone. I continued to act like a crazy person to preserve my sanity. I feel like in an effort to preserve my sanity, I created a different persona who had to then deal with what I had put myself in. I was so out of control that at one point I told the orderlies, "You're going to have to fucking shoot me up again. Whatever you shot me up with is bullshit. I'm not going down at all." And they wound up shooting me again. And I walked back out onto the floor, and I must have kicked off my flip-flops at one point in the corner of the room, found a chair to sleep in because the sedatives, the double dose of sedatives, were kicking in, and I went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up sober, still very tired from the sedative that they had, the amount of sedatives that they had pumped into me. And my mouth was completely dry from the sedative as a side effect. So I was craving juice or whatever, milk, whatever they were giving me for breakfast, but my stomach really hurt and I couldn't eat. Now, what follows is an absolute realization of real true crazy. The night before, I had attempted to escape, in which I rubbed my name off the whiteboard, completely just took my arm all the way across as I was walking by the whiteboard, and hit the board right where my name was and all my information was, and then completely erased myself from their system. And because I was just in like the intake area, they didn't really have any information on me. So after I did that, I went straight for the door, and of course, it's locked, because why would they let those fucking crazy people out? And I went back to being crazy. So the morning that I woke up, tired, ass is sore, thirsty as all fuck. The morning that I woke up, they had no idea what had happened to my information. They had not progressed in the intake process for me. So things had to start all over again. They had to start back from beginning. Everybody that had came in before that had been taken back and started their treatment or evaluation. Me, on the other hand, I was fucked. I fucked myself. And I had to sit in the intake for another 12 hours where the craziest people I have ever seen in my life showed up. Like I mentioned, I was very thirsty. So I hoarded like the peach cups and the little cookies that they gave me. They gave me a peach cup, a cup of diced peaches in syrup, and cookies because I wanted to eat those later. But my stomach was really killing me, or at least drink the juice from the peaches. We had a cigarette break for everybody in there, and I managed to bum a cigarette off of somebody because they took everything from me and put it in a locker, so I didn't have anything on me. And also, I was in a fucking hospital gown because they had taken my pants. When I got back, there was a woman that I can only describe as a witch, like an actual witch, who was completely mental and completely fucking psychotic. Definitely should have been in there. And she had discovered my stash of peach cups and cookies, and was making a witch's brew. Is all I can really think of it as. She had poured the peaches onto the floor, crumbled up the cookies into the peach mix, and was dousing chocolate milk, just splash by splash, as she mixed it up. And this is all in like a very crazy, like disheveled, doesn't know what the fuck they're actually doing kind of way. And it freaked me out. I had to go get somebody and tell them, hey, this person is taking all of my stuff and started making it into some fucking potion. And they went and took care of her. And then we went to lunch. And at lunch, some fucking guy who was scared of me the night before was actually a loony person, like a completely fucking crazy person. They wouldn't leave me alone. They kept coming up to me and like saying weird shit. I don't really remember, but I got scared. Like I thought the guy was gonna fucking stab me with like a pencil or something. And I said something to the person that was in charge of the group that was at lunch, and she was just like, oh yeah, just stay away from him. And I was like, well, fuck. I just like called him out in front of everybody. So I went and finished my food and got back to the intake center. And so about 24 hours have passed, and I'm still in the intake. And finally, they say, okay, Jerrad, you can come back to where you can be evaluated and where there are dorm rooms for everybody to like sleep and stay. And, you know, they take your blood pressure and all this stuff. They check your vitals and keep an eye on you and all this stuff. And there was like a bathroom and a shower. And apparently my girlfriend had came and dropped off a couple of pictures, a couple of books, and a few letters from different people in the family that she had went around, because my entire family was so worried that I had, you know, that I was in this situation, that I brought myself to this situation. And in there, I spent another, and I got in around the evening time, and I spent until the next day at around 3 or 4 o'clock in there. So a total of one night, one full day, and then a half of a day, the morning up until 3 or 4 o'clock. And I saw a doctor, and I sat down with him, and I was like, you know, I really don't think that I would kill myself. This whole Robin Williams thing was just a little too much for me, especially in the depressed state that I was. And I told him, you know, honestly, I don't want to kill myself. Maybe I did when I called originally, but after seeing all that crazy shit, I never wanted to put myself in that situation again. And I kind of gained a little bit of respect for my own life, I guess. After seeing people with such crazy problems, I kind of thought to myself, you know, you can be stronger and you can get through this and you can talk to people and you can get some help and not have to, you know, be in a loony bin, and you don't have to fucking kill yourself. And it was an eye-opening experience. And the fact that, you know, some dickhead is out there specifically looking for somebody who has killed themselves. I mean, why else do you go to the suicide forest? I mean, what, because there's ghosts there? I mean, you know you're probably going to see a fucking dead body out there. Or at least some remnants of a person. Or, you know, their dilapidated belongings. Be it a tent or a bag or something. It's just, it's not a good place to go. It's not a happy place to go. And he treated it like it was a joke. Like it was something to be made fun of. And it was really hurtful to see the little clips that I saw of him making a complete ass of himself. And just feet away from someone who is, you know, so disturbed that they had to take their own life, that they felt like the only option was taking their own life. You know, maybe they were like me. Maybe they had realized that all this positivity in their life that they had looked to was a sham. And if something that horrible could happen, then, you know, why even be around? Like, why even stretch this out? Just end it now. It's a scary thing, suicide. And it feels so easy when you think about it. The fact is that you're not making anything easier for anybody. In fact, you're doing nothing but making things harder for everyone that you love. It's something that doesn't need to be taken lightly. And it's something that shouldn't be joked about by a fucking asshole YouTuber. And since then, he's taken the video down. But now without 6 million plus million people viewing it, 6 million views, and it's been re-uploaded to YouTube, and people are not letting this go. He's since come out and apologized, but I don't think that's enough. I think Logan Paul needs to be done for a while. If he wants to come back in a couple of years with a better head on his shoulders, then at that point I might embrace the change. But at this point, I am calling for Logan Paul's removal from YouTube and any other content creating avenue, website. He needs to go. And people that think that's okay for him to do that video like that, I mean, that's what's wrong with the internet today, is just people doing things without thinking and making it normal. It's sad. Logan Paul has a child audience. A lot of 12-year-old kids watch Logan Paul and think that what he does is funny and okay to do in a public setting, and it's just not. And I think that Logan Paul needs to learn a lesson from this the hard way, and he needs to figure out what he's going to do in his upcoming future to offset the problems that he's put himself in by doing this on YouTube. It's ridiculous, folks. Suicide's a real thing, and not only is it real, it affects a lot of people. And if you are having problems with depression or suicide, I urge you to please get out there and try to talk to somebody. It's hard for people to talk to family and loved ones in these kind of situations. But that's why they have things set up like the National Suicide Prevention Line. And locally, even, like in my case, the 211. Please, just talk to somebody. It will open your eyes as to what you're thinking about doing is not the way to do it. And I'm sorry we had to have this conversation here on the Jerrad Show. This is not what I'm normally about. I'm not normally about talking about such a dark subject. But I think it's just something that needed to be addressed today. So, I will be back tonight for What's Trending Tuesday. This is just something that just needed to be said. So, go to JerradShow.com. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.